Hi everyone, welcome back, and in this video I'll be giving you some information on user stories you don't consider. So there are some user stories that we never even consider as stories. So that's what we're going to look at in this video. So let's get into it. So what are non-user stories? So these are user stories, but they do not provide value to the end user directly. So now if I have to give you an example, spikes and technical cards can be an example of these non-user stories. Okay, so let's say you have a spike card which says analyze chart properties, or you have some technical card that says listen to events from the product domain data. These are not actual user requirements. Okay, the user doesn't care whether you do some chart property analysis or the system is listening to some events. This is not the requirements of the user. The user might have given you a requirement saying that they should be able to populate a dashboard and view a certain types of charts, or the user would have said that they just want to view a product catalog, so they don't care where you listen to events and how you update that data. So these are some examples of non-user stories. Spikes and technical cards are examples of non-user stories. Now when we say these are non-user stories, many people, including me at one point of time, I mistook that we needn't consider these type of spikes and technical cards as user stories. It's enough if I just create a spike card and I say that analyze chart properties, and it's okay if I create some technical card and say listen to events from the product domain data. That's fine, but that's not the case. People recommend that these also need to be treated as user stories. Even though it's not going to benefit the end user directly, still it's going to benefit the team or the system, and they need to be treated as indirect user stories. Okay, so treat these as normal user stories. They can be added to a product backlog, they can even be pulled up into a sprint backlog, and also they will follow the same syntax of a regular user story. Okay, so you can even pull this into a product backlog, into a sprint backlog, and you can work on it like any other user story. It just depends on teams. Some teams prefer to do their spike and then later they do the create stories and then move only stories to sprint backlogs. But some teams, they even move spikes into sprint backlogs. It totally depends on the team. But all I'm coming to say is treat them as regular user stories. So instead of writing boring text like just saying analyze chart properties for a spike, which doesn't make any sense, and you don't get enough clarity on what the analysis should be on, what is the outcomes of this analysis, what is required, and what is the acceptance criteria to say that yes, this analysis is done and it's complete. You don't have anything. So you need to start creating this as a full-fledged user story, similar for this technical card also. And here is an example. So you can have a user story, though the user, the persona is not going to be the end user, as I said. Treat the person who's going to benefit out of this user story as the persona. So for example, if I'm a business analyst and I was expected to do an analysis on chart properties, I would create a spike card and I would say, as a business analyst of the pipeline project, I should be able to do a research and get all the details of chart properties so that I can propose a solution to view dashboards. So it doesn't end there. Now I have a user story, I know who's the user and I know what is required and why is it required. Now I need to specify the acceptance criteria. So I'm making myself clear and saying that from this analysis, I need to collect the chart properties for the following charts. And I state down bar chart, line chart, pie chart, donut, and bubble chart. So now when anyone picks up this spike and just reads this, they would get a full-fledged understanding of what this analysis is about, why are we doing this analysis, and what are the outcomes of this analysis. So it's not only for other users to be aware and get an idea, but it's even for the very person who's doing that analysis or working on that card to have a full scope of information, and it's always good that they are aware of it. So that's about creating spike cards. Similarly for technical cards, don't just create technical cards saying that listen to events from the product domain data. Again, you create a user story, and if it's going to be a developer who's working on that, put the developer as the user persona. So as a developer of the shopping website, I should be able to listen to the events from the product domain so that shopping website will be updated based on real-time data. So now that you got the full story, the idea of who's going to work on that, why are they working on it, and what are they going to do with it, again mention the acceptance criteria. So though it's a technical card, still there is some acceptance criteria. So you might want to say, listen to the following events from the product domain. So listen to the events when a new product is created, there's an event, the product updated event, and also the product removed event. So now when anyone picks up this card, they would know what's expected out of this technical card. So now you might wonder and ask, why should we treat them as stories, because it's not going to be of any use and there's no value. But if you look at it, it's actually providing value. Though it's not going to provide value to the end user, as I said in the beginning, it's going to provide some value maybe to the system or to the internal team who's developing that. So when you look at the system, if you're going to do something, on a technical side, the system might be enhanced, its performance might be enhanced. The end user might not have given that requirement, the security must be enhanced. So, all this is something where the system benefits and there's a value that contributes to the system. And also, if you see, the team on the other end is another set of group of people who benefit from these type of user stories, because they are going to either gain a lot of learning, they're going to gain a lot of knowledge when they work on particular cards, and when they do some spikes and analysis, they are going to be in the benefactors of that particular analysis. So it's always good to treat the spike and technical cards as normal user stories, as it captures a lot of information, it makes things more clearer, and it's also a good way to take things forward. So I hope this information was informative to you. If you like this video, please do give this a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to this channel, and also do share your feedbacks. Thank you.